You know, it was a $90 billion asset class in March of 2000 when I was first looking at it. And then by August, it was about $180 billion asset class. And right now, 4 years later, it's $1.8 trillion asset class. And I think it's going to 18 trillion, then 180 trillion, then it's going to go beyond that. So I think it's a very simple thing. I think Bitcoin is going to grow from 0.1% of the money in the world to 7% of the money in the world over the next 21 years. And of course, you should just go long and keep buying it.
0.1% to, you said 7%?
Yeah, it'll go from like 1.8 trillion to $240 trillion, and it'll go up 29% a year, ARR. That is my base case.
And I've heard you say that in 21 years, it's going to be at $13 million
That
per
takes you
Bitcoin?
to 13 million a coin.
13 million a coin.
13 million a coin.
At 29%.
Every Bitcoin you don't buy is going to cost you $13 million, my friend.
Welcome back to the channel. That was Saylor letting you know where Bitcoin is going. It's easy to see that when Bitcoin prices are going up, but when it dips, a lot of people lose interest. They don't really want to invest in Bitcoin when it's going down, but when it's going up, everybody wants to buy Bitcoin. MicroStrategy. That is the opposite of what you want to do. You want to buy these dips. You want to buy Bitcoin while it's down. So in today's video, I'm going to be going into where Bitcoin could be going in the short term. Obviously, nobody knows where it's going in the short term. I'm going to be looking at some charts, looking at some MicroStrategy news, and also looking at some potential risks for MicroStrategy at the end of the video. Everybody likes to talk about the bullishness and all the hype around MicroStrategy. And, you know, we are bullish. We believe MicroStrategy will be a $1 trillion company one day. In our opinion, that's not financial advice at all, but there are some risks associated with owning MicroStrategy that you may not realize, and I'm going to be playing a clip at the end that you guys can check out and leave your thoughts about that in the comment section below. But let's go ahead and get into it today. We have the Crypto Fear and Greed Index is now at a 54. We were just in extreme greed a couple of days ago, and you can see how quick the sentiment in the crypto market can change. Now we're down to 54. The market has been selling off here. We have Bitcoin currently trading at around $94,000, down around 1% today. MicroStrategy is currently at 332, down 8% on the day, closed at 332. Potential buy the dip opportunity. We're down from the high of around 530, I believe. So if you believe in MicroStrategy for the long term, I'm not saying to go all in, but maybe buy a little bit here. Put a little bit more into your dollar cost average. Not financial advice, but this thing is down. You should be happy when good assets go on sale, and that's exactly what MicroStrategy is doing right now. And if you need to buy MicroStrategy, you can do it on MooMoo using our affiliate link. If you sign up, you get 15 free stocks potentially, and those stocks could be valued up to $2,000 each. You can check that out. You can trade MicroStrategy options, Bitcoin, any other crypto. Check it out if you guys want to, and it also helps out the channels. And then also MicroStrategy trading today at $7 billion of volume. So we were in the top 3 consistently for the past month or so. We have dropped down a bit, but MicroStrategy is still trading in the top 10 companies, up here with some gigantic companies right along Meta, Microsoft. These are $1 trillion market cap companies, and you guys know MicroStrategy is just sitting at around $80 billion. So that's definitely good to see. And you guys know with that volatility, as MicroStrategy trades down, options traders like this, which makes the options more expensive, which allows Michael Saylor to do these convertible debt offerings and buy more Bitcoin. So the volatility of MicroStrategy is actually a good thing. Also gives you and me the opportunity to buy MicroStrategy while it's down, buying a good asset at a nice, decent dip. And I'm not saying go all in. I'm not saying this is the bottom, just saying that the price is down from the all-time high. It's down today, so a potential buy the dip opportunity there. And I want to get into the next couple of weeks, what could potentially be happening. We may see some things around crypto tax loss harvesting. It comes up every December at the end of the year. People who bought Bitcoin above $100,000 may be selling some of their Bitcoin towards the end of the year to basically get a tax benefit. And I'm not a tax professional at all, but in my experiences being in the crypto and Bitcoin market, at the end of the year, this always comes up, and is always one of the reasons people think that Bitcoin is selling off into the end of the year. So don't be surprised if you see other channels talking about this. And obviously, this might not be as prevalent this year because Bitcoin has been extremely bullish the entire year, and we're very close to the all-time high. But if somebody did buy at the all-time high, they may be selling now just to get those tax benefits. And then looking at a chart here, if you compare Bitcoin to December of 2023 and you lay out a fractal, it looks very similar to what we saw last year, what we're going through right now with the dip in Bitcoin's price. So we could see Bitcoin come down and potentially bounce back going into 2025. That is something that you could watch out for going into January. We could have a pump late January. That is something that could happen, but this is just looking at a fractal from comparing it to what happened last year. And this is a chart that we have been showing in our Patreon a lot, the Bitcoin and Global M2. And this is something we've looked at this entire year, and it has been spot on. And if you look at where Bitcoin is going right now, it is continuing to follow this trend just spot on, guys. You can see there's like this 3-month lead, but as M2 has gone down from September to December, Bitcoin has been following this to a T. So we could see Bitcoin go down to potentially $75,000 if this continues to play out just how Global M2 has played out. One thing I want to mention here is this is probably just a local correction here. We're going to go higher in the Global M2, but if Bitcoin goes down here to $80,000, that is going to be a great buy the dip opportunity for Bitcoin and MicroStrategy. And it's really funny in this crypto space. Everybody wants to buy Bitcoin and crypto and MicroStrategy when prices are going up, but when they're going down, everybody loses interest. Nobody wants to talk about Bitcoin or crypto or MicroStrategy, and nobody wants to buy. But if we see this price go down, it might be a great opportunity to pick up some MicroStrategy, to pick up some Bitcoin, not financial advice. And we know the Global M2 is probably going to go up because we just saw a new government funding bill that will be $1.56 trillion in new borrowing before the debt ceiling binds again next March. That's $1.5 trillion to the national debt in just 3 months. So you can see where the national debt is going, and it's going right to that debt ceiling that never stops growing. So where do you think Global M2 is going? And if Bitcoin continues to follow that trend, Bitcoin is going to go up over the long term, guys. Just like Saylor told you, you know where Bitcoin's going. So just buy on these dips, continue to buy, dollar cost average in. If you can buy more when the price is down, definitely do it. And if you can't, just hodl on to what you currently have. And just a quick update here, public company Rumble is going to be paying its creators in Bitcoin. They're going to allow Bitcoin tipping on their platform. Rumble is a competitor to YouTube. Haven't really used them too much, but they are a $3.6 billion company, and they're embracing Bitcoin. I believe they also have Bitcoin on their balance sheet that we saw from a couple months ago. They're starting to put it on their balance sheet. So Rumble, another company who's embracing Bitcoin, so definitely good to see there. And I do want to play this clip from Jeff Ross. He's explaining some of the risks with owning MicroStrategy, and I just want to play this for complete transparency. There are obviously risks with owning MicroStrategy versus owning BTC. While these are risks, we're not trying to FUD MicroStrategy or make the price go down by showing you these clips. We believe MicroStrategy will be going up over the long term. Over the long term, we believe MicroStrategy will be one of the top companies in the world, but understand there are risks to owning MicroStrategy. And this is why we think it's important to own Bitcoin and MicroStrategy. So I'm going to play this clip. I want to get your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Like and subscribe for more content. Let's go ahead and check out this clip here.
Everyone should own Bitcoin and have it in cold storage. Why? Because Bitcoin is an alternative to the collapsing fiat system. So as much as I like MicroStrategy and I think it can actually even outperform Bitcoin, you don't know what's going to happen, right? And I hope he lives forever, but Saylor could die in a plane crash today. He could turn out he's Dr. Evil, and he could be like, ha ha ha, I'm stealing all of this, and we've duped you all, right? He stores this at different places. I think Coinbase custody is one of them. There's other places. These are honeypots. It's possible somebody could get access to this. You could have a bad player who could have a dude on his C-suite, in his C-suite, who colludes with some other dudes in his C-suite and be like, we're going to get the keys and we're going to take all this Bitcoin and move it to Tahiti, and there's all of these different risks that you take on when you own MicroStrategy and other assets. So those things are real, right? And nobody believes them, and especially in a bull market, especially if you're outperforming, nobody cares. They'll buy it at any price. They also don't care that you're buying Bitnet, it used to be on par to the NAV of the Bitcoin that it held on its balance sheet. And then it's gone up by multiples, 3x, 4x, 5x. to the amount of Bitcoin it has owned, and that's kind of a market issue. And what happens is during bull markets is the further the bull market goes on, usually the greater that spread becomes. At some point, that spread closes again, right? People who own this is a different technical issue, but people who own GBTC back in the last cycle learned that the hard way. I actually learned that the hard way because in our hedge fund, that was about the only Bitcoin proxy I could find for my clients. 2021 was a really good year for Bitcoin, even though it was subdued like we talked about earlier. But GBTC went from a premium to a discount to NAV, to the net asset value. So GBTC, if I remember it, I think it returned 0% or right around, it was flat in 2021. That was very painful. So those kind of things can happen to MicroStrategy. And that's another thing that I think about is when it's the flavor of the cycle, so when it's the darling of the cycle, the last cycle, the darling started GBTC, and then that deflated, and then it was the Bitcoin miners. They were the darling of the 2021 cycle. Now it's MicroStrategy. What usually happens is everybody wants the darling right away, so that tends to peak earlier. So what I think is going to happen, and we've already seen that, right? That the MicroStrategy has crushed Bitcoin returns. I think it's up, to your point, 400 to 500% so far this year. I think if I had to guess, it's going to peak early and then it's going to kind of fizzle while Bitcoin still kind of finishes its cycle a little bit later. So just a guess. I have no insight to that other than that's usually what happens for the darlings of the cycle because everybody wants that. And then there's no more buyers left at some point. So that's a really long-winded answer to say if you have no other alternative, go ahead and buy some MicroStrategy. Go ahead and buy the ETF if you want. But super critical that you first need to establish real Bitcoin in cold storage outside of the system, because if things hit the fan or if the government says, hey, we're going to seize this or whatever, or something bad happens, if you have a Bitcoin proxy, if you have a Bitcoin IOU, you don't have real Bitcoin. I know you know that, and I know you tell your listeners that all the time, but you might be able to outperform for a while. It's the same with nonsense proof of stake crypto, right? A lot of people get attracted by that kind of stuff. You may outperform Bitcoin, but you're just playing with fire when you do that kind of stuff. And I think that's a whole different subject, but you're just buying nonsense at that point. And you really run the risk of just losing it all and getting rug pulled. And so just be smart,